to go through a movement video today, and we're going to talk about grip. And there's two different things you can do. You have what you would call either a regular grip or a neutral grip, where your hand is straight. And then the one we're actually focusing on today is a false grip, where you're taking your wrist and you're bending it like this. Now on rings, this is going to look a little bit different, but we're also going to show it with kettlebells, how you could apply this to the rope, and then also in a pull-up on a bar, and you could use this on a barbell. There's many other things you could apply this to, so you have to be a little creative on your own. We're going to try to give a variety to show you how you could actually use the difference of grips and when to use those. So let's look at a ring row first. This is a movement pretty basic, most people can do when they come in. I would say on a majority, everybody does a regular grip, so they're keeping their wrist straight instead of doing this. Let me show the benefit to doing the false grip. So here's the set of rings. You always set them up about hip height. You go underneath, and most people will just hang on like this. So their wrist is straight, and they're hanging on right in the middle of their hand. They're pulling to the rings like so. Now a false grip is a little bit different. You're going to put your wrist up on it, and the ring is actually going to run kind of diagonally from index finger down to wrist. So this is pretty much where you're trying to put the ring and the bearing of the weight. And so you're looking like that as you're ring rowing. You have this position hooking over top, and it would look like so. And a lot of times people, when they train this, they'll slip as they're going. So they'll be in the top of, they can maybe get the pull done, and then on the way down their hands will slip, and they'll end up back to a straight grip. So the benefit to this would be in a muscle up, which I just did right there to some degree, is coming over top of the rings to keep your hands in that position, make it a whole lot easier to come over. And we'll see this in a kettlebell as well in a second for a clean, how you bring weight from here to the shoulder. It's the same principle, easier for that weight to transition when it's bearing through there and not right here. So here's the kettlebell. The reason you would use a regular grip as opposed to a false grip, they both can be applied. A regular grip would be used for something like a deadlift, where you're just taking the weight from the ground, standing it up. You can have your hand right in the center as opposed to coming over the corner. So on a clean, when you're trying to get to the shoulder, you'd come right in this corner. You kind of get that arm hooked around there, and then come right up to the shoulder. The problem would be is if you have your hand right in the center and you try to bring it to the shoulder, the weight will flop over, and people get these huge knots. It'll like smack them in their arm. So that's the reason you'd use either a regular grip or a false grip on a kettlebell. Let's look at the rope. A false grip is when you're going all the way around. Same thing right here. You can see from index finger down into the wrist, I grab it. Now if I do that with the other hand, index finger down to the wrist, and I grab it, when I hang my weight on it, it's going to twist. So you get this twist effect. It's no different than doing on a deadlift, and a lot of people would know this. An alternating grip on a deadlift is a whole lot easier to hold the weight than doing both facing forward. So same principle. I get all the way from index to wrist, I hang, and it twists in there. It's a lot easier, more efficient to hang on. I'm using friction to my benefit. So you can also apply this to a bar. So from here, most people do pull-ups from a regular grip. They'll put the weight pretty much right there, and they're hanging on pretty much by their fingers. So most people do their pull-ups like this. And you can't, like from a side view, I can't see my pinky right now. It's right there. It's almost impossible to see the pinky. So if you do a false grip, you're not going all the way up on your wrist, but the same principle applies. I'm trying to, in all of these movements, ring row, kettlebell, rope here, I'm trying to build this muscle on this side of my forearm. So when I pull over and I get that hook, this section of my forearm gets bulged up and engaged. If I'm just a regular grip, that doesn't bulge up quite the same. So there is normal, there is false grip. I'm using that section to protect my elbow, protect my shoulder, protect my wrist. So on this one, you want to be able to get your pinky over, try to get the weight from index finger to here so I can see my pinky on the other side now. It's right there. So that's a false grip on a bar. You can use this on a barbell as well. So that's the benefit. That's kind of what we're looking at. I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you've never practiced a false grip or both of them with a movement, I would say go try to practice them. We'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section. If you're not following us on Facebook, please do that. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do that. Give us a like. share it with your friends, practice these two, see the benefit of practicing a false grip, engage more of your musculature in your forearm so it's easier for you to hold on. Most things that we do in CrossFit require you to be holding on to something. So the stronger this is, the better you're going to do. You're going to find yourself at the top of the leaderboard. So artists, work on this. False grip is important. Love to hear your thoughts. Comment. We'll talk to you soon.